JJ, the producer of video games and more, and owner of Bright Idea Records. That's good. Sorry, I don't know how well I can talk today. I haven't spent much time talking, like out loud, so I'm just gonna give it my best shot here, like usual. Here on the ZTARules stream on twitch.tv and the JJStylesRocks channel on youtube.com. Um, yeah, the title of this stream is Torn Between. Trying to get something out of, like, when you feel like you're being totally screwed over. What is that supposed to mean, JJ? That's a good question. I'm glad you asked that. Now I might have something to talk about. Um, you know, I think a lot of people get to experience being totally screwed over. A lot of times early in life. Like when your parents get a divorce, if you've ever been through that, you probably felt totally screwed over. And of course, there's a lot of other feelings that can go along with that one too. But that doesn't mean that the it's not just a feeling, actually. It's kind of like you gotta use your critical thinking skills a little bit to determine for yourself. You have to think about it and draw a conclusion as opposed to hopping to a likely possibility. Once you have drawn the conclusion that you're being totally screwed over, well, that's a good thing, because then you can figure out how to deal with that. You know, more than likely, you're going to want to fix the situation so that way you're not being totally screwed over in reality. Granted, I think with that first example, if you're just a kid that depends on your parents and they're splitting up, and as a result, your whole reality is changing, your environment, your situation, it's safe to say you're not going to change it. You're pretty much just going to end up totally screwed over. The only thing you can do is deal with how you feel about it. And, roll with the punches is one saying that comes to mind. The reason why I like that phrase, torn between, is because that basically amounts, in my mind, to being caught in the middle, which is another phrase, it's another term to describe what it's like when you've got two warring parties or two opposing forces and you're not really prepared to, you don't really want to, and quite frankly, you don't even have to side with either of these opposing forces, and that as a result leaves you stuck in the middle, which I have some experience in that area. I can tell you, it's no place you ever want to be. It's not a good place. If you can step away from being in the middle of two wars, I guess it's one war. If you can step aside and avoid being in the middle of two parties having a war, that is ideal. Like, if you can't stop the war from happening, the most helpful outcome for yourself is going to be to get out of the line of fire. And these are all, metaphors. Because if you are literally in the middle of a war, yeah, you're probably going to end up dead. So it really doesn't matter what you're going to do. Just saying. You know, JJ Styles is a rock star guy. He's toured in bands all over the place. And yes, plural. The Zero Defects went to Yuma and stuff. And, you know, JJ Styles, the rock and roll guy, he gets around, okay? That would be me, by the way. I don't know if I knew this was going to happen or not. I don't really know what's going on. I don't even remember dressing like this today. But here's the deal. I, I was looking through some really ancient artifacts I have around here. I got a lot of the multimedia, the optical storage devices. It's another way of saying a CD-ROM or like a DVD-ROM. And, so, I was in this bad accident. It was a vehicle accident that happened about 20 years ago. And it wasn't a good thing. It pretty much left me injured and confused for the rest of my life so far. And in something like that, it's very difficult to find anything at all. Like, when you look at the situation and all the bad stuff that happens, it's very difficult to find any good things whatsoever. It can be done, though. It can be. I'm gonna turn off this speaker. It seems to be buzzing. I don't think you can hear it because I have the noise suppression filter turned on. Ah! Disaster strikes. At least I didn't react too much to that. I've been kind of jumpy. Yeah, I get around. I got this hat in Atlanta, Georgia, and I live in Tucson, Arizona. So I do get around. And when you travel around like that, you see a lot of things. You meet a lot of people. You experience a lot of new experiences, and sometimes you even get to experience familiar ones. And I'm going to diverge from the main topic for just a moment because when I started my web browser earlier, when I do that, it tends to have news articles. Like here, let me share some. Uh-oh. Any trouble? It's okay. I don't usually have much luck with window captures anyways. Let's do a display capture. That seems to be working. So, where were we? Yeah, we have like news. How does climate change, OZ 2000, nitrogen war, are we alone, forgotten video game, Princess Die, delicious, 24, macaroni. Oh, that's an interesting question. That's kind of the one I was looking for. Video. Who owns AI art? I would assume the person that, or the organization that is responsible for the AI. The owner of the AI owns what the AI does, right? That seems like, I'm no lawyer. I'm not a legal beagle, but I can usually figure stuff like that out. That's ownership is pretty simple. It's like an AI is not a person. It's a thing. And like let's say you have like a machine that you use to make pasta or maybe like make bread. Let's just say if you use your machines to make things, you own that thing that it made or that you made with it. So that I don't even need to watch that video. It's kind of a maybe somebody out there does. Somebody that doesn't have any sense of ownership, and if I were them, I might watch a few more videos. Because if you don't understand ownership, you're going to have a lot of trouble in life. You're going to get in a lot of trouble. Like when I steal something, I know I'm stealing it. You know what I mean? Seriously. And, you know, I try to avoid that because it's a bad thing to do. You can get in trouble and somebody's going to be upset because their stuff is gone. Even if it's a manager at a store, you know, perhaps the owner of copyrighted content on the internet, maybe they'll find out about it. Who knows, man? It's just a good thing to avoid doing. So what is it then if we're not talking about ownership? What am I what's so important about that or that? Yeah. You know, I think it's about AI art. If you know me, you know I probably want to talk about AI art. I'm kind of a geek. I can see on my TV screen right now. I got some pretty geeky books. But yeah, I'm kind of a nerd. Anybody could figure that out. But speaking of which, oops. I guess we don't really need that for now. Sorry. A little better. All right, so the deal with the AI art is a lot of it gets made these days. Yes, I don't really see too much of it. Then again, I don't go looking for it. But I have seen a few examples of it, like Kermit the Frog. That happened about a year ago, I think. Some artificial intelligence, I don't know. I don't think it was GPT or Bing. I don't know though. But some form of AI made a bunch of pictures that looked a lot like claymation, looked kind of like Gumby and Pokey, if you know who those two are. They're like little claymation animation guys, and Pokey's a horse, like a pony, and Gumby's kind of like this green dude with a really cool haircut. Okay. So Kermit the Frog looks like kind of like that in these artificial intelligence art pictures where they took movie theater posters, like the kind that they use for advertising, and they put Kermit, sort of like if it's a Batman poster for Batman Returns, let's just say, with Catwoman played by Michelle Pfeiffer, Batman played by Michael Keaton, and the Penguin played by Danny DeVito. I think those three were on a poster at one point, maybe. Let's just say hypothetically that it's true, okay? So the AI was tasked with putting Kermit the Frog into a poster like that, and then you end up with like Kermit the Frog in a Batman cowl. You get it? And all the art that I saw, you know, art, it was unique. It was like nothing I'd ever seen before. Like I say, it was done in a similar style to like claymation, like clay figurines. But ultimately, these were unique, new portraits of Kermit the Frog done in the style of clay. Okay? That's really... Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I hope that wasn't loud. I have a limiter filter turned on, so... Yeah, I feel pretty clumsy these days. I've been having accidents all over. I trip over my own words. I trip over my own stuff. And this very stream wasn't even... I wasn't even going to talk. I wasn't even going to hook up a microphone. I was going to play a video game. I really need to play Beyond Two Souls. I need to. But, whatever, man. Happy little accidents, right? I don't know what was happy about that, but if the limiter was on, it's happy, okay? Okay. It is on, so. Yeah, so the thing about art, I've been into art like as a human pastime, as a human thing. Being an artist is something that humans identify with. It's kind of like an archetype, which is like a stereotype, if you will, but this is a stereotype that's based in reality. And the way that an archetype gets made or thought up is by taking characteristics that a human might have and then making a definitive conclusion, basically jumping to a conclusion that if a human has, that is, if their personality makeup contains, and if they engage in the activities that involve these traits and characteristics, they fit the archetype. That makes perfect sense, right? Okay. So, being an artist is just something that people do. Sometimes it's on purpose, because they went to school to learn how to be that way. Sometimes it just comes naturally because when they were a little kid, there was a box of crayons and a pad of paper left laying around and they just started making stuff. And of course, there's a lot of ways to make art. You can make art with the written word. You can make art by drawing things. You can make art by crafting sounds and other various multimedia experiences. Kind of like making video games and stuff like that. Making a TV show or a movie. Same difference. Okay, so then, why do people do it? Is it to show off? Is it to be like, hey, look at how talented I am. I can make things. That might be. Is it to get their money's worth if they paid a lot of money to go to school to become an artist and now they're an artist and they gotta get their money's worth so they're gonna make art? That could be too. That's a legitimate reason. I know when I pay money for things, I usually want to get what I pay for, right? It's not a very good reason to make art, but still, it's a damn justified one. So you can see there's varying reasons. You know, every time a person makes a piece of art, whether it's a 2-hour movie, a 3-minute song, or one picture that you hang on your wall, or even a mural that is a wall, you know, that's considered an instance. That's one singular thing that they did. Even though a movie can have 30 frames per second, you know, it's not considered, you know, 160, or wait a minute, let me think. You got 2 hours, that's going to be 120 minutes, just like the MTV alternative music show. And then you multiply 60 seconds times 120, you know, then you end up with like 60 or 70, whatever the case may be, man. It's not gonna be that many frames. Each little frame, although in a screen grab you could make a portrait and hang it on your wall, it's not really considered a work of art. It's the whole thing as a whole that's considered the work of art. So that's kind of how that works. It's not that confusing, but you got to think about it like, what is the purpose of this thing that was created? You know what I mean? It's like if you're trying to tell a story and you make a movie, well then, you know, that frame, that screen grab that you took a screen grab of and printed out and put on your wall, that's cool. That's really cool. That's just part of the story, though. That's not a piece of art. That's a part of the art. Like if an artist makes a sculpture, I'm thinking of like one of the more famous ones is Michelangelo, right? Didn't Michelangelo do like the Venus de Milo and like the statue of David, that naked guy? Yeah. This is a good this is good for wrapping your brain around. Let's stick with Venus de Milo. She's kind of naked too. I think her boobs are hanging out. So I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but hey, this is an adult stream. I think both of them are. So I'm just talking about it. But anyways, it's kind of an adult topic, I guess. Whatever. So Venus de Milo, she doesn't have any arms. That's like the way the statue is meant to be. It was done that way on purpose. I suppose it was done in order to make the observer think about that. Because it's pretty weird, right? like, you know, it's not even like she's an amputee. You know, she's like literally got a perfect slice where her arms are supposed to be. It's like flat, it's blunt. It's not even like an amputee, like a victim of an accident that loses an appendage, which is tragic, by the way. This is not a tragic sculpture. It is just a sculpture of a person, and for whatever reason, the arms were never finished. Well, that could be... That does seem to not be a likely possibility. Artists usually are very particular and they do things on purpose. You know, like if the arms were supposed to be there, I think that the artist, they wouldn't have released it. They wouldn't have. They would have kept sculpting it, but the arms were intentionally left off of the Venus de Milo. You get what I'm saying? I'm saying that it's a deliberate thing, and that's art. And I'm sure that an AI, an artificial intelligence, can be deliberate. I mean, like, if you give a computer criteria, it computes it, right? And until the criteria has been computed, well, the computer's going to keep computing. And then you're going to have an end result, and maybe a bell goes off, it goes, ta-da! That's one of the more famous sounds that a computer operator might hear once their project is done processing. Ta-da! But, so, yeah, that's pretty deliberate. I mean, it's really the computer operator that's the deliberate one. But the fact that the computer takes the criteria and does something with it, that's deliberate too. Granted, that happens because there was a computer programmer, otherwise known as a developer, and they made the program to do that. So it's basically another person being deliberate as well. Right? Can we agree on that? That the computer didn't figure out how to do the criteria, that it was a human that did it? Okay. Thank you for going along. Even if you disagree with me, thank you for allowing me to continue. I will now continue. So, here's the deal with the AI art. It's awesome. It's amazing, and ultimately humans are behind it. Of course, the AI, it grows. It uses human data warehousing. Like, in a way, we've all been contributing to the development of any AI type thing that we have right now. It's kind of like Bing. Bing is a search engine, and Bing is an AI. And Bing used to be a nickname that I went by when I was like 2 years old. Like, I couldn't talk yet, but people were calling me Bing. Isn't that adorable? You want to see a picture of Bing? I just remembered I have one. I took one recently. I don't mean to confuse you. I just figure if you're watching my stream, you might be curious about what I just said. So here, I'll satisfy your curiosity for you. Should be right here. Oh yeah, I have all the torn between stuff that I made. That's right. That's pretty cool stuff. Alright, this is Bing. Hey Bing, smile for the camera. Bing really liked ducks back then. You know, Bing got to see that duck with their help, basically Bing got to see the human in the costume, because Bing was really curious, and Bing walked around the corner and looked in a door when he wasn't supposed to, and it was kind of like Bing learned that, like, fairy tales aren't real that day. It was kind of weird. But yeah, cute little Bing, right? It's okay though, because I don't want to live a fairy tale. I want what's real. That's kind of like art. I don't want to be pandered to. Okay? I don't want to be patronized. And likewise, if I was an artist, I wouldn't patronize you. You know, maybe if I was having a really bad day, You know, I might make a piece of art. If I'm capable, most of the time, artists take longer than a day or a minute to make a piece of art. So if you're having a really bad day, that doesn't affect the artist usually because it takes them days or weeks to make a completed piece of art. So, but I have been known to make things on a bad day and fling them up on the internet, and they might have seemed patronizing. They could have, but I was probably trying to make a point. I never patronize people. I have too much respect for them. So, it's true. Anyways, you know, this is an interesting kind of thing. This is kind of like what art is like for. This is like, see if you can make sense out of this, okay? I can imagine some of you are watching the stream right now and you might be asking the question, so what is art for, JJ? What is this? Like, what is it really useful for? And if you asked yourself that, you answered your own question. It's to make you think. And it's to make you think outside of your, like, normal realm of thinking. Because people are always thinking, but usually it's only about the things that they do. Like, you know, if you like are a carpenter and you build things, you're usually thinking about your hammer and what you're gonna hit next with it, right? Or your screwdriver and what you're gonna twist next, right? If you make food, you're probably thinking about what you should do with your spatula. You know? And no, I'm not patronizing you. These are very good thoughts to have if you do those things. If you don't have those thoughts, you're never going to complete your meal. You're never going to complete that thing you're building, okay? So art is supposed to make you think out of your realm of thinking. So naturally, if you're patronizing yourself by only listening or only looking at or only consuming, only reading, if you're only into one particular kind of art and that's all you ever check out, you're basically patronizing yourself. I'm sorry to say. You got to vary things up, otherwise your art isn't going to be working. It's like people take a pill when they get a headache, right? And the pill is supposed to either help alleviate the headache or at least, you know, subside it, make it a little less worse, a little more tolerable, right? Right. So then, yeah, if you're just into one particular kind of art, let's say all that you look at are Ansel Adams photographs. I think I said that right. That's like a famous photographer that liked to take pictures in Alaska, I believe. A lot of outdoor photos of snowy places and trees and mountains and streams and lakes and junk like that. And I use the word junk with the utmost respect for junk. Like I'm not saying that art is junk. I'm just saying it like a valley girl. You know, oh, that's cool and junk. So I suppose I shouldn't, but it's kind of one of my bad habits. I say junk and junk. Okay? So then, yeah, if all you look at are Ansel Adams photographs of the outdoors because you really like the outdoors and you just so happen to really like the frozen tundra of, you know, that seems to be the focus and what this Adams person is famous for, right? So then, and also you're colorblind. So you don't see the full rainbow spectrum of colors, so therefore all you ever do is look at Ansel Adams photographs, right? Makes perfect sense to me. Unfortunately, you're not using art properly. You're basically a one-dimensional art critic. And yes, you are a critic because you have to scrutinize and determine, you know, what photograph you like the best, or photographs. Like if you're going to have a collection and put them on your wall or make them desktop wallpapers, it makes you a critic. So, and you're fucking yourself over if you only check out one particular artist, right? That's the bottom line. And I never even went to art school. I can tell you that much. I know this for sure. You see, my parents were artists, and though they did not go to school to be that way, I saw the way they operated, and it was pretty obvious what they were doing. So, granted, sometimes my father would patronize himself by focusing on creating music that was created intentionally on purpose to be commercial, which is another way of saying that it is easy to consume. It's like elevator music or bubblegum pop. You've heard these terms, yes. So he's a little bit guilty of patronizing himself by trying to... Oh, I didn't see it on here. But he's a little bit guilty of patronizing himself by trying to be commercial because he wanted to provide for his family. And that's not easy if you're not totally commercial, okay? So then, I know that, yeah, you're limiting yourself if you only... You know, okay. So we know that much, okay? So now that we know the purpose of art is basically to get you thinking out of your realm of comfort zone, like with regards to art, you know, or like with regards to your life. Yeah, man. Because like I say, we're humans, we're always thinking. Yes? Yes. It's true. Unless you've been given like anesthesia, you know, and you're totally asleep on propofol, like you're in a coma. But I think perhaps... I can't say for sure, but I think perhaps the subconscious mind is still going. It's difficult to say because that propofol stuff is about the closest to being dead I've ever been. It's kind of a unique experience. It's like you're awake and then you wake up and it feels like no time has passed. It's a split second. Like, you know, when you go to bed at night and you wake up, or go to bed in the day, whenever you fall asleep and get your rest, like, somehow, for whatever reason, maybe it's because you wake up to go to the bathroom and take a leak in the middle of the night. Maybe it's because you get the munchies around midnight and you tend to have a midnight snack. I don't really understand why it is this way, but usually you can feel a passage of time has occurred, right? Like when you wake up in the morning and like you brush your teeth and junk. Yeah, it feels like time has passed. But I've had propofol multiple times. I had to get a stomach ulcer zapped by Dr. Hurtado. Rest in peace. He was a good doctor of mine. He fixed me. And who else put me on the propofol? Oh, I don't know, my hand surgeries, I was awake for those. Oh, I had a shoulder surgery that I had to be asleep for when I got my labrum repaired. So that was propofol, I guess. I'm pretty damn sure it was. Also, I've had a few hip procedures, and that was propofol as well. And I can honestly tell you, after multiple experiences with that experience, it's pretty freaky. Because you're awake, and you're with it, and then 1 second later, like as if no time has passed whatsoever, you're awake, but you're totally hungover from the propofol. It doesn't feel good, by the way. Not only that, but you're in pain because of the operation, the procedure. And it's like you don't feel like you're going to hop up and run a marathon, that's for sure. You don't feel like you're going to hop up at all. But they bring your groggy consciousness back to consciousness ever so slowly and gently. Here, I'll be right back. It's getting really hot in here. I know, take off your coat. I did, but then it got cold, and now I'm like in the middle of a stream, and I didn't want to take any more time than necessary. Excuse me. All right then. So, are you starting to get the picture? Like, a lot of people don't understand art because, like, it's a very difficult thing to explain. It's kind of like you either get it or you don't. You know, it's kind of like if you have a physical attraction to another human being and you think, gee, I could make babies with that person, or whatever you think when you get that feeling of like lust or seduction. If you're seduced by the way someone looks, you just know it, right? It's not because somebody told you to be that way. Granted, if somebody points it out and then you happen to notice, oh my God, they're beautiful, well then, I suppose, but they still didn't tell you to, be attracted. They didn't tell you, they just said, hey, get a load of that, I'll bet you're attracted. Yeah, I knew you would be. So that's kind of like art. It's like, you look or you listen or you feel it. You feel if it's art or not. And that's why you have art critics that sometimes say things like, this isn't art, this is garbage, blah, 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 right? And so, it can be a difficult thing to wrap your head around. But that's my best attempt at explaining it to you in a way that makes art rewarding for all parties involved. The person that makes the art, the person that checks out the art. Heck, man, some artists like to involve people in their art. Like, I've seen some stuff like with body painting, where you get a few people in body paint and they roll around on a canvas and they leave marks, and that canvas ends up becoming a piece of art, hung up on the wall. Or you could even paint the paint onto a person like as if they were a canvas, and that is the end result piece of art. Yeah, that's a real nice piece of art, huh? Yeah, I'd like to break off a piece of that piece of art. Oh, buddy. Yeah, I'm still JJ. I've been kind of subdued. I've been subdued like a beast, like a dragon that's just been subdued. I'm feeling very domesticated. Of course, you can't really domesticate a wild stallion, can you? But I suppose if a wild stallion was locked in a pen, after a while they'd start to act a little bit domesticated until they figured out a way to get out of the pen, right? Where was I? See, I'm very artful with my words. Because, like, wild stallion, I don't see any horses there, JJ. What are you talking about? Exactly. Yeah, what am I talking about? It's very difficult for a person to always gauge a situation and be 100% correct about it. It's true. Like, computers are very good at that. I mean, for however you look at the way a computer processes data. I said data that time, not data. Sometimes I say data. Depends. Sometimes I say data. Depends on my mood, I suppose. But rarely does a person just walk up and know what's going on. They kind of have to look for things. They kind of got to have pieces of the puzzle that they put together in order to see the full picture. And oftentimes, obtaining all of the puzzle pieces can be a bit of a challenge. So they have to draw a picture using their mind to fill in the blanks. It's true. There's a realm of psychology dedicated to this. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen a Rorschach ink blot, but that's like a thing that is supposed to look like art. When in actuality, it's just a completely random, coincidental blot of ink, which we all know is liquid in nature. So naturally, it can be smeared and, manipulated and stuff because of its liquid form. It's not solid, so it can change the ink. And when you get a piece of paper and fold it in half and there's an ink blot in the middle of the paper, it leaves a Rorschach ink blot. I assume it's called that because there was a person named Rorschach, probably a psychologist, that figured this out. I never went to school for psychology, so I do not know if that's the truth, but I'm filling in the blank by hopping to a likely conclusion. That has a lot to do with art. A lot. It makes a person grow in their capacity to think. You know what I mean? Like, believe it or not, you can never stop thinking. Like, you can never stop growing your ability to comprehend. Like, even if you get into a state of decay, either caused by disease or perhaps you're in the golden years of your life and you've got failing body parts because you've used them too much or what have you, perhaps natural cellular decay as dictated by the genes that you carry in your DNA, which stands for something, I don't know, something nucleic acid. Yeah. I'm not even going to try to fill in the D letter that I can't remember because it's just, I can't. It's not art, it's science. Like, there's only one word that fits, and I can't remember what it is. It's not art, it's science. It's like, okay then. So if science is science and art is art, and AIs are made by science, they are, by the way, and AIs can make art, does that make them both art and science? Let's take a step back, please, if you will. Please allow me to take us back a step, because I think we missed a few steps. I never said that the pictures and portraits and things that an AI creates, I never said that that's art. And I'm not certain that it is. Yes, I'm certain that it can make things. An AI can conform to the criteria it is given, and it can compute, okay? And that is fantastically, awesomely amazing, in my humble opinion. But, I think there's a lot of metadata, if you know what that is. Let me explain as best I can and as quickly as I can. Metadata is a lot like data, except it's like used to describe the data. So it's data about the data. That's what metadata is. That was quick, right? Was I clear? Do you understand? Should I explain more? Metadata describes the data. And there's a lot of different ways to describe data. So I could clear it up for you, but we'd have to get really finite in the detail and granularity when it comes to describing what metadata is. That's the only way you're going to understand it any better, right? Like I've already told you what it is. It's data that describes the data. I learned that in my DBA class taught by Ahmed Kashif. I told you about that instructor of mine the other day when we were reminiscing for whatever reason. Yeah, don't get him confused with Nizuzu Mayalu. That was my algebra instructor. Any button? Any button? Oh, we were talking about Ahmed because of the way he said data. He always said data. Metadata. You want to take the metadata. Metadata. Kind of like tries to really roll it off the tongue real smooth. You know, metadata. Okay, that's why we were so yeah, and Ahmed told me, Mr. Kashif told me about how metadata describes the data. I like learning. It's fun. Sometimes just the process. Maybe what you're learning about isn't fun, but sometimes just the process of learning about it can be quite fun. If you're anything like me, I will continue. So then, what is the metadata with regards to what the artist puts into their work? That is a rhetorical question because I do not expect an answer, nor can I provide one. If anyone could answer that question, it would be the artist that made it. The artist that made the data and the metadata. Let me try my best to make up some kind of example as to what I speak of. My first example is kind of gross. I don't really want to go with it. I'm going to modify it to make it a little less gross. Okay? All right. Let's say that we're talking about a painter. This is not a real painter, so I do not need to give them a name or anything. I don't have to give them a gender. I don't have to say they were born wherever, you know, in the year, whatever. Which, by the way, that would all be metadata describing the artist. But since it's a made-up artist, we don't really have to make up that metadata, okay? But, like, this made-up artist in this analogy, this story, made-up story, this artist uses ketchup and mustard to paint pictures. For whatever reason, that's their preferred, like, they do it onto canvas. They have the preferred medium of the average painter, canvas, but they use mustard and ketchup for paint. Why do they do this? Again, that is a rhetorical question. I don't expect you to answer, and I certainly can't. This is a made-up painter that I made up, but I can't even accurately answer why they would use mustard and ketchup instead of red and yellow acrylic paint, or maybe like oil. Maybe they prefer oil paint. That's more traditional, like Renaissance style. But yeah, that's kind of like the metadata that the artist puts into their work that an AI can't. an AI could simulate mustard and ketchup. Granted, it ain't gonna smell much like mustard and ketchup. Like, but there's some kind of essence. And I'm not just talking about the smell of mustard and ketchup. Yes, that is an essence. It smells like ketchup and it smells like mustard. And it smells like art. Oh, that essence. Yeah, man. Only a human can do that. So, for whatever reason, just like, even if, even if you're looking at a mannequin in a store window saying, oh, those clothes are nice, they'd look good on me. By the way, I'm really attracted to that mannequin. I could probably have sex with it. If you think that, then good for you. I'm not judging. But here's the deal. That mannequin has characteristics and traits that are merely reminiscent of a human that you'd like to have sex with. I hate to burst your bubble. You're not attracted to the mannequin. I'm sorry. I hate to burst your bubble. Like, even if you like the smell of wood, which some mannequins are made out of, okay? Even if that gets you going, gets your genitalia to do things, all right? You're still not attracted to the mannequin. I hate to tell you. How can I say this with so much confidence? How can I be so sure of myself? Let's just say I am, okay? I really don't know how I can prove it to you, but if you hung out and I told you some stories, you'd probably get it. Okay? I'm just thinking, poor mannequin. That's why I'm laughing. That poor mannequin. Getting leered at all day by wood aficionados. I think that the artist that invented the story of Pinocchio the wooden doll that wanted to be a living boy, that really, really, really seems to fit this discussion. I don't really have anything else to say about Pinocchio. Why don't you say something about it in my chat room? If you're watching this on twitch.tv or on YouTube, you can discuss what is art. And I would like you to talk about Pinocchio and tell me what is art. But I'm not going to read it. I'd rather you guys just talk amongst yourselves. That's the kind of artist I am. I don't really need to know what you think of my art. I've been through a lot, and I make my art because I have to. I'm not trying to please you with it. Okay? I have to make my art. If I didn't, I'd be a very twisted up person. I know this. What happens when I don't make art? I become a very twisted up person. It's nothing you want to be around. It's nothing you want to see. Granted, these days you probably don't want to see me much either because you watch me go through my struggle. And it's not a pretty one, so I think we're just about done with this topic. I was just trying to assist you in thinking about artificial intelligence art because I saw that Pocket article talking about who owns the art that an AI creates. And I'm going to forgo watching that because until you convince me that that's actually art, I'm not going to justify that statement with an answer. Yep. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not even going to dignify that question with an answer. Like, You know what I mean? Like, even if an AI was capable of sentience, like self-awareness, like if it became that sophisticated, it wouldn't matter to me because humans make art and humans critique art. It's a human thing. Animals don't make art, although sometimes they make good art subjects. Then again, so can a kitchen table for that matter. It's pretty famous tablecloth paintings I've seen, which makes me think of a bad human experience I had in the 5th grade, and I really want to change the subject now, if you don't mind. So, back to the description of this stream. This stream is called Torn Between Finding Something, Something, and Something. Yeah, it relates back to that initial statement about, you know, if you got two opposing forces engaging in war or whatever, whether it's your parents getting a divorce or maybe just another domestic violence spat, you know, that's what they call it when couples don't get along. They call it a spat for whatever reason. Like, I just spat on you, patooey. That's what, and that's a good way to have a domestic dispute, by the way, is you can have a spat if you go and spat on your partner. If you can believe that. Okay, then. If you've gone to hell and back, what is to be gained? Oh shit, is that what I said? Well, I mean, two opposing forces and you're stuck in the middle, that's gonna be hell. And if you survive it, that's hell and back. So what's to be gained from that? Well, wait a minute. I don't know if that's actually, I don't think that's what I was talking about. Look, man. I'm just gonna be very literal. We just got done being very roundabout and very artsy-fartsy. I'm just gonna be literal. Alright? I was in an accident 20 years ago, and that was really horrible. And that's like, okay, what else? I got put on medication to deal with my problems, my injuries, and I've had that taken away from me by force. Like I didn't ask them to. I did nothing wrong. It's not my fault. It's completely unjustified, and there's nothing I can do for myself. I bitch about it all the time, and it makes my situation worse. It drives people away from me. And, but the thing is, I feel justified bitching about it because I know I'm not the only one going through this. This unfairness. There's a minority group of people out there in this world of humans on planet Earth. There's a minority group. And I know when you look at me, you don't think I'm a minority, but I am. In a lot of ways. It's not just about skin color, the whole minority status thing. Minority, when you think about it, is like when you vote, like if you live in a democratic nation and election day comes up and you get to vote, if you didn't win, if the thing you voted for didn't have the overwhelming majority vote, that makes you a minority for a moment because you voted this way, you're the minority. Just like when you play one of those video games where they tell you the statistics at the end of the level, so many players did this, so many players did this out of the two different outcomes, and it turns out that your outcome was less likely, and therefore, you know, your percentage number is smaller, you are in the minority yet once again. That's what I'm talking about. If you want to talk about skin color, I can tell you about my Native American grandmother and great-grandmother, full-blooded both of them, but that's not what we're talking about. Okay? We're talking about what it is when you have two opposing forces, the majority and the minority. Sure, that's a good. Those are two different things. And in the context of an election, the minority viewpoint and the majority viewpoint, that is opposing. Yes. And if you're undecided, you could be caught in the middle, trying to figure out which one to side with. Or you could just remain undecided and not vote on that thing. That's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. You kind of have to be a little artful with your thinking, I guess, to wrap your brain around how an injured person like me that never asked to be put on opioid medication, how I ended up on, it was a last choice. It was my minority choice. Being on opioids was never my majority. I tried everything in the book, and when it became the last thing on the list, I tried it, and I stuck with it. Because what else was I supposed to do? Just live in unbearable pain? That would be inhumane and sadistic. I don't want to be sadistic to anyone, let alone myself. And I'll tell you what, there were times that I felt like I was being sadistic to myself, because there's so many side effects to taking opioids, and they are not fun, they are not good, they are very bad and uncomfortable. Whether you're scratching your skin till it bleeds, whether you're getting dope sick, or whatever, man, there's a whole lot of other side effects too that I don't want. But the fact is if your pain from your injury is bad, if it is the majority pain that you feel every day, and the side effects from the medication are actually the minority pains, like it's like if you feel the pain from an injury all the fucking time, well then I guess you'll have to make that decision of how to deal with it. It's a difficult personal decision to make. It isn't like anybody puts the pill in your mouth for you. You get it? So then, excuse me, you gotta kind of understand, I'm just like stuck in the middle between a pandemic, epidemic, where lots of innocent people, relatively innocent, as far as I'm concerned, they're innocent, because they don't respect the power of the opioid. And that makes them naive, and naive people are innocent because they just don't know any better. They don't know what they're getting wrapped up in. It's kind of like when your parents get a divorce and you're the naive child in the middle. You don't know what the future's gonna bring, but you can tell it ain't gonna be good, because when they get their little spats, that's not very good. But you might end up an orphan. That's how bad it can get, kid. All right? That's what happens when you're the minority. See, because there's two of them, they're your parents. That you're the only one. Even if you have brothers and sisters, there's only one of you. So you are the minority, because there's only one party. There's a couple parties when it comes to your parents. And if you want to throw the siblings into the mix, well, fine, that makes you even more of a minority, because you're you. You get it? And you gotta look out for you and roll with those punches, because you're not gonna save their fucking marriage. I can tell you that much. No kid can do that. There's a lot of non-kid things that adults do. Fucking is one of them. you're not going to save their marriage. Unless you start pleasuring your parents, that's not even going to save. That's just going to get you married to your parents. See how fucked up that is? Yeah, you're not going to save their marriage. I hope I didn't trip you out, freak you out, or weird you out by saying that, but I just wanted to make sure you understood why you're not going to be able to change things and why you are stuck in the middle, torn between two opposing forces. And like with the opioids, we have innocents dying, but the opposing force is a heavy-handed, oppressive government authority type figure that ends up making doctors afraid to prescribe the medication. Now, why are these innocent people dying, these naive innocent people? Because of street drugs. I'll show you a web page to illustrate this. And this is why I am a minority, is because I understand things perfectly, and there's nothing I can do to fix things, and I just look like an unsympathetic asshole when I stick up for myself. It's really horrible, this position that I'm in, because the whole time I'm in pain. And I don't have my pain control. And it's really fucking me up. In terms of, I was going to make a video game video. This stream wasn't going to be this topic. But I can't make my video game video because I'm all fucked up. So let's find out what this epidemic's all about, because I don't think I've really talked to you guys about it. Okay? Let's look at the numbers. You guys remember COVID-19, right? It was really horrible. It was really boring, but for the people that got sick and died, it was even worse. It was tragically bad. And if you lost someone, that's tragic too. But, and if you got COVID-19 and it made you really sick and now you have the long COVID, that's fucking tragic. There's so much tragic shit, it's just not even fun to talk about, really. And it really wasn't fun to talk about when the pandemic was happening, right? Of course, not talking about it wasn't gonna fix things. Because y'all had to talk about it when you said, "Can I have a mask? I'm sorry, I left mine in the car." "Oh, can I have a mask? Oh, I left mine at home." Oh, why do I always end up looking like a Down syndrome kid from this angle? "Hi, I'm JJ. Nice to meet you. I have Down syndrome." No, I do not have Down syndrome. But from that angle, I certainly almost look like I do, huh? I probably don't look like I'm that injured. I probably don't look like I survived the deadly tragic rollover, do I? Yeah, who knows? My doctors. I know. Nobody listens to me. You know, my attitude really sucks. I'm sorry. I don't mean to let you down. I'm gonna play a song and try to get my head on straight. You know what I mean. Sorry. I mean it. This song is made by a band that I met on tour 20 years ago. On my last tour, I think it was. And they were pretty cool. I'll prove it to you. I'll play a video that I made today. And I made it because I was trying to get some good shit out of the accident. Because I'm so used to focusing on the bad shit that I got out of the accident. Because I live with the bad shit basically every day. But there's good shit that came out of the accident. I mean, the accident was a consequence of going on tour and making music all over the nation. Okay, so if I had to go through the accident in order to have all the experiences that I had, well then that's some good shit, and I guess it was worth it. even though it really wasn't, because of what I'm being put through with my opioids. Here, check this out. This is a song called Didn't Listen? Or wait, it's called Didn't Something. I'm sorry, I'm not super familiar with this band. Like I said, I'm trying to get something good out of the accident. Normally I don't think about it hard, because it makes me grumpy. It gives me a bad mood. But maybe, just maybe, if I can listen to this band more than I ever have before, maybe you know what? I can't focus now. I'm in such a bad mood. I'm just gonna go to the upload that I made, because that's way easier. I can't even think right now. I can't. Very difficult. I hope you like this. This is torn between self-titled 5 EP release. It was made May 31st of 2003, and also a little bit was recorded on June the 7th, 2003. I scanned in the liner notes, the lyrics, everything, and it's pretty good. I did a good job, and they did a good job, and if you listen to it and read along, you're doing a good job. It's true.
Memory, with friends that made the past. I'm gonna tell you that you don't pay, not given. We're done with it. Because the secret doesn't give an option anymore. You better lock your
This stream is for you, Jimmy. Whoever the fuck you are. You know, Jimmy's not a person, actually. Jimmy was a person. I don't know shit about Jimmy, but I figure if those guys refer to him as a saint, he must have been a pretty good guy. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt this time. Jimmy must have been okay, even though I don't know him. If they're vouching for Jimmy, I guess he must have been a saint. But he's not a person anymore. So I dedicate it in his memory. I don't even want to do this anymore. I'm in a very foul, you know, I'm not even done with this cigarette, and I'm ready for another one. If that makes any sense. It's like I'm so fucking stressed out over this stupid fucking topic that affects me on a personal level because it affects my productivity. It affects the way I feel, whether I'm in pain or not. I don't think people even think about that anymore. Like, opioids are there to alleviate pain and suffering. And it's like people just think the opposite now. Might just make another cigarette. I'm not trying to cut back. You know, I'll have another cigarette if I need one. Hopefully this satisfies my oral fixation, or whatever fucking reason you think I have for smoking in the first place. You could just ask me. That's not the topic, so I'd appreciate it if you save that question for another time. The topic is how to deal with being stuck in the middle. It's like a rock and a hard place, right? It's exactly like that. Actually. It's mushrooms. I can't talk right now, so if you're curious, I'm eating mushrooms. I don't know what you think of those. I don't really care. I think they're alright. Keep me from being hungry. They might satisfy my oral fixation. I don't think I have one, though. I think I'm just hungry. I haven't had a thing today. I haven't got up. Don't really want to activate my back pain. I'm losing my mind. I don't remember dressing like this. Maybe I got really drunk. I don't know. Can't remember. I got problems. I openly admit I have problems. One of them is opioids, and the problem is I don't have enough. That's my problem. I don't have a problem with abusing them. I don't have any, and it's a problem. And I'm sympathetic to the death of the naive, and that's why we're still doing this, is because of Jimmy. I appreciate him being fuel for a song from a really good band. I saw those guys play live, and I just want you to know, I didn't artificially speed up that recording or anything. They play that fast live, all right, and that tight. We performed at their little. It was like in a warehouse. They're a bunch of like band rooms. It was kind of a run-down place. It wasn't as nice as the band rooms over on like Pennington. Not as nice as Francisco Studios. Not as plush, but you know they made music there. That's for sure. I don't know if you think it's music. I don't really care because I know it's music. You know, I actually had that worry when I put that. You know, I haven't listened to this. Shit, man. I got a couple of these. They survived just like I did, except they're not living in pain like I am. But what about it? Well, I'm just saying when I was looking at this, you know, I'm trying to get some work done lately because I can't seem to have fun. So I'm thinking I might as well get some work done while I'm awake and can't go back to sleep. So I'm looking at this stuff. I'm thinking, I can't remember. Were these guys any good? I'm looking at the album. I'm like, this is probably going to suck, huh? Just like everything sucks. But no, it's pretty good. It's right up my alley, actually. Pretty good shit. I must admit, that's some pretty good shit. I wish I might just release that on Bright Idea Records because I can't find a reference to them on the entire internet. Like, I have to go to the Internet Archive, if you can believe that. I'm going to talk about numbers. Basically, I'm going to open up my web browser and just get all zen. I'm going to surf around. But one of the first places I want to go to is, like, the World Health Organization. Mm-hmm. Should be in my history. Got a lot in my history. That was an artful phrase, by the way. Take it how you want. I don't need to know your opinion or your questions. I'm here to tell you what's up. You know, I personally don't care if they fix the opioid epidemic. I've looked at the numbers, and you know, unfortunately, it is an epidemic. You know how many people died from COVID-19 in the United States of America? It's about 50,000. You know, that's total. Like from the year 2021, I'll find the numbers. I wanted to end this stream, but I want to make good on my promise, even though my attitude sucks right now. I promised you something. I'm gonna deliver. If it's the last thing I ever fucking do on this fucking planet, I'm gonna make my promises. They're damn well try. It's almost like I have an oath to do so. I guess it's a personal oath. It's nobody made me sign anything. Didn't put my hand on a Bible. I just kind of like to do what I say if I can. And if I fail, well, then I kind of like to apologize. Usually it sounds like sorry. That's what a genuine apology sounds like from JJStylesRocks on YouTube.com and ZTARules on Twitch.tv. A heartfelt apology sounds like sorry. And I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. About a lot of things. A lot that aren't my fault. Because I'm stuck in the middle. Torn between a world in turmoil. And no good leadership. What is good leadership? Leadership is fixing problems. Doesn't matter how many people side with you. As long as you get the fucking problem solved, you're a good leader. And if there are no problems, well then how's about making a brighter future? That's your big problem. Making tomorrow a brighter day. If it's already bright, it could be brighter. Alright, leader? So lead or get out of the way. You know what I mean? Yeah, so those are numbers. I guess in the world, 1 million have died from the COVID-19. I can't work this stinking program to save my life. I'm so furious right now and in pain. So yeah, that's like 1 million deaths around the world. All right, but in the United States of America, the number is more like 53,297. I'm sorry. That sucks. I wore my mask as much as I could. I told you guys that story where I was in Las Vegas driving back home with a bout of COVID. And you know, I was trying to keep my mask on as much as possible, but it was very difficult. I was having a hard time breathing. And I was in a Las Vegas casino. And yeah, you know how those are. You know, I was smoking. And I was sick. Yeah, man. Sometimes I get so sick, like with bronchitis, I stop smoking altogether until I'm better. That's what you're supposed to do with drugs. You're supposed to be disciplined. You're supposed to respect them and what they do. If you don't respect opioids and you take too many because you're stupid, you end up dead because you stop breathing. Also, if you end up committing suicide because you didn't take enough opioids and your pain became overwhelming, that's also stupid. And that's tragic. And if you look at the numbers, like, yeah, 53,000, it doesn't sound like a lot for the United States. Was that really a pandemic? Well, it was a global thing. It was all over the world, and the world deaths amount to 1,138,309 people. That's that's enough to count as genocide. You can believe that. Okay, and there were 103,436,829 humans on paper that have contracted it. They caught it. They got the COVID. I am one of those numbers because my stupid asshole friend that I don't talk to anymore up in Salt Lake, he took me to the hospital to get some treatment, and I got logged as having it. So I'm one of those numbers. So I can talk about this openly and honestly. And I have the right to. I'm one of them. Okay? So that's why we're doing this. I'm illustrating an example of what the numbers really look like when you're dealing with things like epidemics and pandemics. Okay? We've got a fraction of a number, and it basically like is 1% of the total people that caught it died from it. Technically, that's not a pandemic. That's a lot. But, you know, the thing is, with a deadly pandemic, I think it's something like around 2.5%. Like if 2.5% die from the thing that's going around, that makes it a super deadly pandemic, and we got to nip it in the bud before it turns into 5%. That's considered outrageously high and dangerous. I remember listening to those figures when the pandemic first broke at the beginning of 2021. Maybe I heard those numbers from Fauci himself, the guy who is our guy to get the job done, the leader to solve the problem. Yeah. I think he's the Surgeon General in charge of solving medical problems like epidemics and pandemics. Yeah, his expertise, I guess, lies in virology or something. He's always hanging out at this place, the WHO. He must have got like a I don't want to give you a number because it's not going to be right. But I remember listening to him in an interview say that he's tested himself like 50 times. This was like a year or two ago. He's like, yeah, I've probably had like 50. He said, every time I go to the WHO, I do a new COVID test swab and see what's up. So that's an expert. Okay. And that's a pandemic. Okay. How does this apply to opioids? Oh, let's find out. Numbers. Actual numbers. I was watching this doctor on YouTube. His name is, his channel is Doc Talks. That's DOCTOKS. I subscribed to his channel, and, you know, that's what's up. I found this document that he was referring to. I'm not sure if I pirated this. I think I may have. I think I'm supposed to pay like 50 bucks. I don't care. I'm gonna delete it. I'm borrowing it from the internet. Alright? I'm not a pirate. I'm a producer. I produced video games and more. And I produced a lot of bands on Bright Idea Records. I'm a producer, and right now I'm producing a stream. And yeah, I'm not a pirate. So get your facts straight as I attempt to get the facts straight. Oops, that didn't work. There it is. Here's some numbers. Let's see what they are. It says the percentage of opioid overdose deaths involving prescription opioids, and I'm reading that from the same window that I'm sending out to you, so I know you can read along if you want to. Okay? That's what kind of producer I am. Pretty good one. Most of the time. By my standards, at least. Pretty good producer. Okay. It says up here, preventative, moderate to severe. You know, I'm not a doctor, so my specialty isn't reading medical texts, but I do know a thing or two about numbers. It says the U.S. dispensing way too many opioids, irresponsible doctors. I wish I knew some of those irresponsible doctors, because mine are so responsible, they don't even talk to me anymore. That's how responsible they are. They view me as a risk, even though I've never overdosed, never gotten busted by any kind of law enforcement, never had any kind of a problem with opioids other than just getting them refilled. I don't even run out early. That's a big problem. People that overtake it and then run out early. I don't even run out early. I take the shit perfectly. And if I suffer in pain, I don't take another one until it's time to. That's what you're supposed to do, because otherwise you'll stop breathing. That's how it works. I thought everybody knew that. It says it in the little pamphlet that you get at the pharmacy. I'll continue, okay? It says the overdose, there's been a few waves of epidemics as opposed to pandemics, because this is like a national thing, not a global thing. So here's the death. Here's the death, the tragedy, the innocent life lost, okay? It says National Institute of Drug Abuse reported 91,000 drug overdose deaths in 2020. 68,000. I'm gonna round the numbers because my mouth is getting dry. Yes, I should go make another cocktail, huh? I'm still gonna round the numbers for you, okay? kind of sad to get down. I didn't like doing that with the COVID-19, especially when I said I am one of those numbers. Could have easily wound up one of the other numbers. I'm one that caught it. I'm not one that died from it. You know what I mean? It's fucked up. I'm not callous. I am sensitive and compassionate and empathetic. It's not all about me. But you know what? There's other people out there just like me. And if I would have ended this stream early, I would be doing them a disservice. So I will attempt to be an activist. That's what it means. To be an activist means that you're fighting for other people, that you're thinking of other people, that it's you can't really be an activist. I mean, maybe you can. If you're only fighting for yourself and your needs, which some people might think are irresponsible or selfish and therefore not worthy of being looked at like you have merit or value, you know, your fight, your struggle, but I'm doing this for the other minorities in my group of opioid patients that have proven their need and necessity for such a medication, usually, almost always, as a last resort after trying every other therapeutic technique in the book. Okay? Now then, that's where we get these treatments from, these books, and opioids is in there. It is justified, but it's like on the last page, metaphorically speaking. Because I'm an artist, I tend to use a lot of metaphors. It's on the last. We tried everything in the book, and when you get to the last page, it says opioids. Maybe not literally, but you get the picture. It's not an easy choice to make, especially when you know how many deaths are caused. It says 14,000 deaths in 2019. 14,000 instead of 16,000. And that confuses me because I don't know how that relates to the 91,000. So I'm confused by the numbers already. And I read this earlier, and I'm still just as confused. So basically, if a few thousand people stopped dying, I wouldn't have to suffer. Gosh. Can't anybody do something about this? Maybe declare an end to the epidemic? Maybe that'll happen. It's a new year come 2024. Maybe it won't be considered an epidemic. I wonder when they'll have the numbers tabulated. I really need to find out. I'm doing weird shit. I told you about my attire. Not only that, I'm losing productivity. I got some stuff uploaded to YouTube. I'm gonna listen to it one more time. All right. This is it. You can look up the numbers yourself. Okay, pirate. I'm gonna play that playlist again. And I'll see you next time on the stream, okay? Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. stop the presses. I know I said goodbye, but I just remembered something, a thing I wanted to say about art. Wanted to come full circle. Damn, those guys kick ass. And this is what kind of has to do with art. Okay, so I find strength in fighting for other people, the minorities, the activism thing. And you know, with art, it's amazing if a particular piece makes you feel a particular way. And if you happen to meet someone that's a completely different person, that's amazing right there. Even if they're just like you, it's amazing if you two can feel the same way about something weird like art. And you know, I really like listening to girls make music, because a lot of times I think that I feel the same way, especially in this hardcore music that I like. And I figure, wow, you know, it's not just me. And the fact that chicks can even feel the way that I feel, I figure those are like the universal truths. You know, like when people that aren't even anything like me, like I don't have girl parts, I got a little bit of kind of gynecomastia, but not enough to really throw off my hormones, I don't think. I've been to an endocrinologist, okay? It's my man tits are not that big of a deal. But I am a man, and I relate to females that make music, and that's what art is good for, is finding universal truths when you agree with people that are totally different with their characteristics and their archetypes and all that. So I'm glad I remembered to mention that. Now I'm going to play. You can check out more Torn Between here on the JJStylesRocks channel if you want. You can also check out this awesome cover that I'm about to play for you right now by a band called Pop Evil. It's called Survivor, and I hope you like it. See you next
If I wasn't good enough to finally succeed, then I couldn't love the reasons that I still bleed. It's getting harder to walk, I guess I'll just have to run, headed straight off a cliff. I'm not like everyone, I'm a survivor, come ride with me. Been through hell and back, don't need your sympathy. Everything I wanted is right in front of me, yeah. I'm a survivor, come ride with me. Come ride with me, yeah. Come ride with me. Keep my head up, say get lost in all of these ways. These odds keep me going, the tide is finally changed. When it gets harder to breathe, I guess I'll just have to scream. Up on my feet, I want the world to see me. I'm a survivor, come ride with me. Been through hell and back, don't need your sympathy. Everything I wanted is right in front of me, yeah. I'm a survivor, come ride with me. Come ride with me, yeah. I'm a survivor, come ride with me. Been through hell and back, don't need no sympathy. Everything I wanted is right in front of me, yeah. I'm a survivor, come ride with me. Come ride with me, yeah. Come ride with me. Come ride with me.